Good morning, guys. MWUSA Season 3, Episode 46. I've been driving for about an hour now, thinking about how I'm going to approach this episode and tell you about what happened recently and why I've been away, and I'm no closer to figuring out what to say, so I'm just going to say what comes from my heart. Last week, at the end of last week, we lost someone in our family that was the cornerstone of our family. Someone who lived a legendary life, and I don't use that word lightly. Someone who, as a child, lived through war, saw 19 members of their family. As a third grader, saw 19 members of their family murdered in front of them, and grew up to be someone who had no hate in their heart and wanted to raise a family that would be a loving, caring, generous, God-loving family, and succeeded. Through their life was the leader of branches of international companies and gave it up because of defending people. Gave up a position on top of an international company that exists today to defend the rights of those who had no rights, and still had no hate, and taught that we should not have hate. And who, at their funeral, had people from another international organization travel from many states, many hours, had 35 members of this international organization come to honor this person. And so that's the reason that I was out. I got a call that it was most likely going to happen soon. And this person died in the most beautiful way, surrounded by probably more than 20 members of the family, just 30 seconds after the family prayed together out loud. So that's where I've been. I took the rest of the week off work, and I'm just getting things back on the road again. And that's it. I guess that's I don't know how else to say it, but I can tell you that this person's experience has been documented in books, documentaries, and at least one movie, if not, well, more than one movie. And yet, this person was a humble person who just wanted to love, did not care about money, gave up riches more than once to be with family. And that is the kind of person that we should hold up in our society as a hero, and that's the type of person that we should look up to, not sports figures, not politicians, anyway. All right, today is Wednesday. Left home early this morning, Like I said, I've been driving for over an hour trying to figure out how to start this podcast and didn't know how to do it, so I just did it. So hopefully I did it justice. I went to a gas station as one of the first things that I did today, as I was almost out of fuel and I hadn't been paying attention to it, with everything going on. So I go to this gas station, use my Upside app, pull in, scan my rewards card, put my credit card in, doesn't work. Do it again, do it third time, doesn't work. Man, I know I've got money on this card. This is actually, it's a debit card, and I know there's money in there. I checked my bank account, everything's okay. I move to another pump, and it starts to work, but then it cuts me off at $35. So I don't know what was going on at that gas station, but I had a delayed start to the morning, although I got up incredibly early, left home incredibly early. There is a severe storm warning in my area, but I think everything's going to be okay at home. So I left home, left the family, and actually school is delayed today because of this storm that's coming through, and I'm on my way. So right now, on my way to the first spot. I need to be home a little bit early because one of my children is going to need to be picked up from a practice, so I'll have to be back in time for that. Today's goal, I'm going to ease back into things. I'm hoping to hit 4 casinos today. I'd like to make a few $1,000s today. I don't want to try to stress myself out or push too hard. That being out for this time has put me behind, and I'd already had somewhat of a downturn before this. So right now I'm probably 7,000 or 8,000 behind where I want to be by this time in the year. So I'd like to kind of ease back into things though, and the money will come, and we'll see how it goes. So sorry for the long introduction, but I'll be back to update you after my first stop. Alright guys, I am back. I went into the first casino, and it looked like it was pretty much cleaned out. Couldn't really find anything. I did make a small play and ended up winning $40. But other than that, went through the whole area, couldn't find anything else. So, and I could tell I was probably seconds behind someone, and I couldn't figure out who it was, although I could tell because some of the things hadn't even reset yet that they had just checked. So seconds behind and missed out. I did have an interesting thing happen while I was in there. I was walking behind this guy, and he was yelling something into his phone, and I couldn't hear what he was saying. And then he started slowing down and eventually stopped right in the middle of the casino and was yelling his conversation into his phone. And it seems like somebody had used his car and left some kind of narcotic, some kind of drugs in his car, and he found it, and he was pretty upset because I guess he had been on some kind of probation or something, and if he had gotten pulled over, they could have searched his car because of his probation, and he would have gone to jail for a long time because of it. Pick your friends wisely, be careful. That reminds me of an interesting story. I don't know if I've ever told it before to anyone or not, but years ago, my wife borrowed my car for a weekend trip, and actually it was her car, and I had used it earlier, and I had gone to the racetrack with some of my friends, and one of them did some extracurricular drugs. I don't know. He liked to smoke his pot and other things, and he had a pipe with him, And we get out of the car to go to the racetrack to walk in. And he's like, oh man, I got this pipe in my hand. I'm like, you better get rid of that thing. So he puts it back in the car. And I said, I'll just give it to you when we leave. You know, we don't need to get in trouble. So I should have thrown it away right there, but you know how it is. You know, it's like, just give it back to him. It's his. Who cares? No one's going to know. So my wife's on her way back from this other city visiting her family. And she's behind this big semi. And the semi has railroad ties, you know, the giant pieces of wood that go across the railroad. And some of them came loose, and one of them fell off the truck in front of my wife on the highway. And my car was new. It's actually the car that will never get out of the repair shop. And she hit the railroad. It was a different car. Anyway, she hit one of these railroad ties, and this car had less than 1,000 miles on it, and it broke the wheel in half. The actual wheel, not the tire, the wheel, which is made out of, I don't know what, some kind of very hard metal. And she actually broke it in half. She hit it so hard. And so she pulled over, obviously, and she was in the median. She was on the left side, which she shouldn't have been anyway. And a police officer pulled up behind her. And she looks down, and she sees in her door this pipe. And she freaks out, takes it and throws it out the window. Luckily, the cop didn't see her throw it out the window, or she'd be spending some time in jail. But, yeah, so that's my story on that. We ended up, she was about 200 miles away from home. We had AAA at the time, which would tow you up to 100 miles. So I had them tow her 100 miles closer to home, and I drove 100 miles out to see her. We went to the tire place. They put a new tire on. They had to search for a wheel because the car was so new. It wasn't available. So they ended up having to get a used one from a junkyard and put it on there, and then we were able to drive home. But she's never let me live that one down. How my crazy gambling friends, one of them left a pipe in the car. And it's interesting because years later, maybe 10 years later, I had a free room at the Cosmopolitan. And the Cosmopolitan was supposed to have been a hotel. It was supposed to be like a condo building. And 2008 happened, and all these things happened. They ended up turning it into just a regular hotel. And they had given me a free suite in there. And the suite had a balcony with a door that actually opened. You could go out on the balcony, look at the strip. It had a washer and dryer. It had a dishwasher. It had everything. And it was basically a condo that they had converted into a hotel room. And that same friend, I asked him to stay there for me because I had a deal where I think they gave me, I'm trying to remember the number, maybe $1,000, maybe, I think it was about $1,000 in free bets if I went out there and stayed for 3 days. So I went out there, checked into the room, gave him the key, played my free play, and flew back the same day. And whatever I won, $800 or whatever I got out of it, I came home with that. But he stayed in that room for me for a couple days. And I told him, please, no drug use in there. I don't need any problems. Don't charge anything to the room. And it all worked out. So that was kind of funny. I actually don't think I've talked to him since then, since that time. But, you know, we used to do a bunch of crazy stuff. Anyway, letting you go for now, moving on to the next spot, and I'll be back to update you. All right, guys, I am back. So I go into the next casino and start looking at slots first. And again, found nothing. And I think I played actually one machine, lost about $20 on that one. So that was about it. Started walking around some more, and I found another machine I wanted to play right outside the high limit room. Sat down, played that one. Lost a little bit on that one, maybe like $60 or $80. The machine next to it was also in range, although I liked that one a little bit less. Played that one through and actually had a nice hit on that one. And by the time I was done playing slots, I was ahead $622, which is just great. So plus 622 on the slots. I go to the high limit blackjack area and walk in. There's only 2 tables open. One of them is a $100 table and the other one is a $500 table. This is very unusual for this spot. Generally, if this place has 2 tables open, there's a 50 and a 100, but not today. I went around to the low limit area. There were some $15 tables with bad rules and too many decks, and it didn't make sense for me to play those. So took one more lap around the casino, and like I said, ended up ahead $622 on slots. So no blackjack there, and we're moving on to another casino. This one will definitely have blackjack. I can't remember the last time I couldn't play blackjack at this casino. So we'll give that a shot, see how it goes. Hopefully we have some good variance and keep moving in the right direction. Just to give you an idea of the day, I left home around 6:20, 6:15 a.m. and it was about 60 degrees outside. There were storm warnings, tornado warnings or watches. Now, about 5 hours later, it is 37 degrees. So definitely had a big cold front come in, and what can I say? Everything worked out so beautifully this weekend and the last couple days. The weather was just awesome for what we needed to do, and you know, someone was looking out for us. So anyway, moving on to another casino. I really like to hit this place hard. I really would. I don't like this place at all. It's just one of these places that's an uppity place, in my opinion, and everybody's got their nose in the air. It helps me a lot because their limits are so high and their tolerance is so high, and as long as you're not throwing it in their face, you can usually spread pretty wide. Even 1 to 20 is not a big deal, even in the high limit. So you know, I try to keep it under that, stay under the radar, and you know, not be in their face. But if I didn't live in this area, I would definitely push it hard. So anyway, we're moving on to that next spot. We'll see how it goes, and I'll be back to update you. Alright guys, I forgot to mention, as I'm walking into this next spot, at that last spot, since I didn't play any blackjack, I was able to get a bunch of chips cashed, so that helps me out as well. So thin out my chip inventory, but at least I was able to do that while I was in there. So right now, waiting to get into this next casino, and I'll be back to update you. Alright guys, I am back. So I spent a lot of time in there, and running a little bit short on time, so I'm going to skip the next casino and move on to the one after that. So when I walked in, I immediately started looking at slot machines, and I'm trying to think, I think I was ahead about $11 or $12 on slots when I went to play some blackjack, and they had moved a lot of tables around, so it was kind of a weird situation. Wasn't sure exactly what was going on, but a lot of the tables I normally played were closed. Did find a table to sit down, sat down, played for a while, and ended up playing for 40 minutes or so, and ended up leaving that session plus 1100. Now from there I went back to look at slots, and there was one that I'd kept my eye on. I was keeping my eye on. I looked at it a couple times earlier, and it was getting close. So when I came back around, I thought it was close enough to play, and I was wrong. Took me down a big rabbit hole. I was involved with that machine as much as $2,000 when it finally paid out around 1,100 and or so, a little less than 1,100, and I ended my slot session down $972. So made 1,100 on the blackjack, lost $972 on the slots. Decided to go play blackjack again. The shift had changed, new people, except the one pit boss was still there. and he recognized me from earlier, and he's like, "What happened? You were up. Why didn't you leave?" I said, "Oh, I gave it all back and more," and had this long thing. And anyway, started playing again. Played there for about an hour or slightly less, around an hour. And really, the whole time I played, both sessions, was very uneventful. Low counts, not a lot of big swings one way or another. I mean, I would be down, 500 or 600, or lose 5 or 6 hands in a row, but nothing too dramatic or anything like that. And the most I was down for both sessions, I think was only like $400. But between both blackjack sessions, I ended up ahead $2,200. So although I lost $972 on the slots, I was ahead $2,200 on the blackjack, and we're moving in the right direction at least. Feel kind of bad about losing that on the slots, but I did everything that I could. Kind of analyzing what I did a little bit, and maybe I was a little too eager. Maybe it was close enough, but not exactly there, and that might have cost me $400 or $500. So there's a chance that we take sometimes because we think someone else is going to hop on, but it's usually not worth it. So anyway, overall did all right in there. Talked to a couple people that I knew in there, and I am moving on. Unfortunately, because I have to pick my kid up from practice, which is 200 plus miles from here, I've got to watch the clock. So ever since I got to this town, I put the maps on home, which is about 20 minutes from the school. That way I have a little buffer in case I'm running late. So right now it looks like I'm ahead between 25 and 45 minutes of where I need to be. So I think I'm okay, and I'll be able to stop in the next casino at least to check some slot machines. So yeah, so overall, not a great day, not a terrible day, not an exciting day. One thing that did happen is, as I was trying to cash out, I was in the high limit cashier area, and the guy in front of me had about 7,800 in chips, and they had asked for his player's card. He had given it to them, and I'm waiting. Turns out the computer was down, so it was going to take a while. So I decided to go to the low limit cashier, and I cashed out most of it there, and then went to the poker room and cashed out the rest. But yeah, that's another problem with using your card, is they give you higher denomination chips, and they want to put it all in the computer. If it was me and I had 7,000 in chips, I probably would have cashed 2,500 at the high limit, maybe 2,000 at the low limit, 1,500 at the poker room, and taken a little bit home. But I definitely never, ever, ever anymore cash out $3,000 or more at any cashier. It's just not worth the time. It's not worth losing your anonymity. So anyway, right now heading off to the next casino, and we'll see what happens from there. I'll be back. All right, guys, I am back. So I went into that casino, and today is one of the I don't know, some kind of contest day for the older people. So there were a lot of people in there. I walked in and really saw close to no plays. I don't know if there were other players in there doing what I was doing or not. I didn't see any at first. I played one machine, and I was ahead like $30 on that. Walked around and found pretty much nothing. Played a couple other small things and kind of lost a few bucks here and there. And then I saw some folks that I know, friends of mine. Talked to them for a while, and just caught up with them to see how they've been doing. Went and got some food. Oh, what did you eat today, MW? Pizza. I had pizza today. So I had 2 slices of all-meat pizza, and I had a Twix candy bar. So not bad. Felt pretty good. Anyway, got my food and looked around again, really couldn't find anything else. And as I was cashing out, I saw another friend and talked to him for a little while and got caught up with him. And really, I gotta say, that was pretty much a letdown. There was really nothing there to make money on. I ended the session, I had $17, but what are you gonna do? There was an opportunity for me to play some table games that I was positive EV on, but because of timing, I couldn't do it. I would have only had about 15 to 20 minutes, and I still need to get gas. So when I fill up at the beginning of the day, almost 100% of the time I got to get gas again because I'm going so far. So due to that and not wanting to be late to pick up my kid, I said goodbye to my friend and I left. One interesting story, when I was in line to get my pizza, there is a regular line, which is everybody except the top tier. And the top tier for this company is basically equal to $1 million in coin in for slots in a year. So, and actually, it could be a little less than that, because some points can carry over and things like that. But anyway, $1 million in slots, in slot coin in. So there's one guy standing there, and there's a big long line. I'm at the beginning of the line. I'm finishing up, cashing out, and the cashier gives this guy such a hard time. Are you so-and-so level? He's like, yeah. Let me see your card. And she was like so rude to him. I couldn't believe. You know, a person standing there, why don't you just assume that he is, call him over, and if he doesn't have the card, then you're fine. But to treat people that way, just not very cool. So anyway, I was able to get in and out of there, and yeah, unfortunately I couldn't play. There was one casino where I couldn't play anything at all, couldn't even go to that casino due to time, and then this casino had a couple of opportunities on tables and couldn't take advantage of those due to time as well. So but I think we are at like plus 1,800 for the day, so we can't really complain about that. So right now I'm letting you go, and I'll be back to update you here shortly. Alright guys, I am back. So I was able to stop and get some gas, and back on my way again. But man, did it get cold outside. 30 degrees outside right now. Cloudy skies, windy. It's just so cold out there. I didn't even bring a jacket. When I left home, it was almost 60 degrees. So it definitely cooled off quite a bit today. Right now I'm heading toward home, heading to pick up my kid from practice and getting everything figured out for tomorrow. I checked in with work, and they had an incident happen today. Glad I wasn't there, but glad I wasn't supposed to be there too, because if I was out of town and I was supposed to be nearby, that could have been a problem. But they were working on getting that incident resolved, whatever that is. But I may have some tickets to put in, some change tickets. So instead of doing it in the morning, I may try to do it tonight. We were planning on going and watching a game tonight. None of my kids are involved in the game, but wanted to support the team, so I may do that. If I do that, it may be pretty late before we get home, so I may not be able to get my work done. In that case, it may change things for tomorrow. But as of right now, here's what our plan is. Tomorrow will be a day on the road. Most likely will be a shorter day. Probably be 1 or 2 sessions of blackjack, 3 or 4 sessions of slots, and probably will not be too late tomorrow. Probably will leave at normal time, come home at a normal time. Now I'm starting to think maybe I should switch that. Maybe have a longer day tomorrow and a shorter day on Friday. We'll see. As of right now, it's going to be a shorter day tomorrow, just to ease into things again, and a longer day Friday, even though I don't like being out late on Fridays. I think that's the right thing to do right now. Yeah, so glad to be back, and hopefully nothing else happens for quite a long time. I'm sorry if I was a bit cryptic, but I think I gave you a basic idea of what happened and everything. And thank you all. I forgot, I want to thank all of you guys for all your well wishes and your good thoughts and your prayers and everything else. It really does make a difference. I really appreciate it. I tried to get back to as many people as I could through email. There's a few more that I haven't gotten back to that I will definitely do tonight. And if you have any questions or comments, my email is mwusa21@gmail.com, mwusa21@gmail.com. See you tomorrow.